It's a primary part of what we do and why we do it and how we do it. It's the foundational belief system that permeates everything that we do, why we try to excel, take care of our customers, make things affordable, meet their needs, and customize every job to make it as suitable as possible for the client. You always take the risk that people might let on that they can't afford things, and there is a certain amount of discernment, and you do get to know people after a while, but you can usually tell, when people are actually in need and when they just don't want to pay fair market price. Ultimately, I do talk to people and hear their story. If it sounds like they're having a tough go of things, and we try to help them out wherever we can, while still taking care of the needs that we have, and trying to find that balance to ensure that everybody's served, taken care of, and that they're receiving the necessary compassion when it needs to happen. Ultimately, in the end, we know that God will take care of our needs. But if somebody is clearly doing very well financially and they're just trying to get a deal, then at the end of the day, we're not in business to not make a profit. But at the same time, there's a possibility that sometimes we may not catch every person who is asking for a deal. We might think that perhaps they're in need and they've just pulled a fast one, and that can happen. But it's important that people get served, and in the end, it'll all work out. Well, initially, when you're trying to start out in any business, you tend to offer, you're trying to get in the door with a lot of people and get the opportunity for them to get to know you. So, price was a little bit more to get us in the door initially. And as time has gone on and the demand has increased for our services, and we have a lot more customer reviews, a lot more referral business and repeat business, we're not as desperate for every job. So, we have gone to more market pricing, but instead of trying to, give the cheapest rate possible, what we try to focus on is giving the best value for dollar. So that's why we ensure that every job and every client is attended to in an individual way and in a personalized way, in a professional way. Taking care of every client is important to us, and making them feel like a person and not a number. So, but we've always had that particular mentality. It's just that the price has changed a little bit because, as I say, when you're starting out, you're just trying to get known, you're trying to get your foot in the door. And so the pricing was a little bit lower back then. Now it's about average with industry rates. We are cheaper than some companies and more expensive than some companies. But at the end of the day, we're not trying to be the cheapest guy on the block. We're trying to provide maximum quality service, personalization, and care for every client and all of their belongings. I like the variety that we get to do various types of work. So, whether it's moving, transport, custom transport, hotshots. We've done some very unique work, and I guess some of the most enjoyable is when we get to do the unique things that there's a story behind. For example, one time I was hired by a man who formerly ran a pit crew for Race City Speedway, and it was his wife's birthday coming up, and he had previously purchased a harp for her. It was one of those lap harps, and he had contacted me because, as I said, her birthday was coming up, and her harp had a crack in it, and he had to make a decision of whether he was going to get the harp fixed or if he was going to upgrade and give her something more wonderful. And so he had decided he sourced an antique harp from Nanaimo in BC, and he needed it delivered, but it couldn't be shipped via some kind of shipping company. It was just too precious. So he sent us out there. So I drove out, and I met one of 12's concert harpists, and she was selling the harp, and so she actually invited me into her house and then played the concert harp for me, 3 songs on the concert harp, and then I was able to get the harp loaded, secured, and brought it back to Alberta, and I was there with him when he presented it to his wife, her birthday gift, this antique harp. There was one of, I think, 11 in existence in Canada, which was a really neat kind of transport. I enjoy the stories. We've also had some invigorating situations where we've been called in and there's been police presence. And what's really exciting about stuff like that is when we can be part of a transformation where, it's a crisis situation when we come in, and by the time we're done, people are calm, things are getting sorted out, and we're a part of that, and we consider it very important to not just be a part of that, but to be a primary part of that, where we bring peace, we bring we pray before we go out, and God's presence goes with us. So it's important that people not just get through a situation, but in the end that they're better off for our involvement in their life. It's so important that we support each other. It's a lot of ways it's a dog eat dog world out there, and I think it's so important that we really consider who is it we're supporting and where is our money going. Are we going to support large international businesses where the money's not going to stay in the country, or are we going to support the guy down the street, and like, for example, yesterday we went out, and after we headed out, we went through a place called Balzac, and there on the side of the road was a local burger shop that had just started up. So instead of driving by and going to some other restaurant, it was lunchtime, we decided to stop and support local. And I think it's really important, because if we want to see those mom and pop shops continue to exist and even have the opportunity to start our own, then we have to have the mentality of not just going to the nearest McDonald's or A&W or Walmart or whatever. We can look for those niche shops and businesses and restaurants and support them and encourage them, because they're trying to make a living too. And we need to encourage the entrepreneurial spirit. So that's the way I think of it. Support local and encourage entrepreneurship, because that's really been the lifeblood of Canada for so many years. And companies like Amazon and Walmart and all those kinds of things, they might give you a better discount, but at the end of the day, you're not necessarily getting best quality. And do you really feel good after you've gone and made a purchase that you've supported somebody who's trying to run a local business? I don't think so. So, yeah, I think, business community and local community, supporting one another, being there for one another. I think these are all important values. Out of all the jobs we've had, we had this one. It was a chest that was not very well made, and the customer had it loaded super full, and the bottom came out of it, and so we ended up having to work with the customer and get that solved for her so that she could have her chest back in full working order. And it involved some talking back and forth and communicating over the issue, and ultimately we got it solved in a way that the customer was happy, and that's what we want. In the end, we want a happy result, and everything can't go 100% without flaw all the time. There's bound to be something that happens, but in the end, it comes down to just working with the customer to get a happy outcome, to get the outcome that's going to work for the customer and where they're going to feel taken care of, and the problem is solved. I got into this business and started working with moving, with transport, with hotshot services, with the desire to take what I've learned in business since 1997 in my IT business and apply it to the moving and transport services. So I really am big with, customer service, customer relations, smooth transitions. I really like the relationship aspect. I like connecting with people, getting to know them, helping them to get to know us, working with my sons and sometimes other family members to ensure that we get the job done and the customers are happy. And so I really enjoy working with my sons at the same time as really enjoy those new relationships that we get to form. Some of them, we get the repeat customers. We get to see people, every couple of years sometimes, and that's really neat to see, to reconnect with people and to have that relationship over time, that repeat business and that connection. So I really like the personal connection and, hearing people's stories and helping them to have their stress load relieved. And it was actually really funny. One time we did a move for this customer. It ended up taking 2 days because they just had so much stuff and they weren't really prepared for the move. And at the end of it, the customer gave us a review saying, not only did Jim and the boys do a great job, but we also got marriage counseling out of the deal. So, and she had a big smile and a laughy face. So it's those personal connections and those personal relationships that I really appreciate and enjoy. Honestly, I'd love to see us have, multiple trucks and multiple teams and just be able to help more and more people. See, business climate as a team where we all get along and we all enjoy each other's company. We enjoy the work and enjoy helping customers, have a great attitude, and where God is at the center. Where ultimately, whatever it is that ends up happening over the next few years, I want God in the center of it all, and I want Him to be glorified by our business and by our relationships with our customers, by every job that we do. Because we really aim for a 5-star outcome on every transaction, and so I really want to not only see that continue, and we've been getting great repeat business and referrals and stuff like that, and I think if that continues, we're going to need to expand. We're going to need to get more trucks, more teams going, and so yeah, love to see it keep growing and us be able to have a greater reach and be able to help more people. Good. Yeah, it's a great opportunity for people to get to know us, and I enjoy sharing when people ask what it is we do and why we do it. I love telling people about that because it helps them to get to know more about what makes us tick and why we do what we do.